Hello everybody and welcome to this first round game of the Kaolin Cup, with 300 Indian Dota 2 teams have joined this tournament to try and get the grand prize. And this is day 1, Inifinity Gaming versus Leo Gaming. The first picks and bans pretty standard for 6.86. Invoker banned out first, a hero that has more than 50% pick rate in very high skill games and was seen extensively at the recent Mars Dota 2 League. And first ban by Infinity was a Juggernaut. The Leo Gaming side following up their Invoker ban with a Lycan ban, clearly not wanting to have to deal with the split pushing Master of Wolves. It'll be interesting to see what Infinity choose to respond. They do not want to play against Alchemist, a hero very dependent on farm, and with the recent more battle-centric build also surprisingly effective in mid-game teamfights, Infinity just don't want to have to reckon with the power of money. And the first overall pick in the game is going to undoubtedly set the tempo for what we're going to see. Maybe will Leo Gaming decide to pick a support here, and it will be the Shadow Shaman, a very aggressive support focusing on bringing down one enemy by hexing them and shackling them, but also having immense pushing power with his ultimate, the Serpent Wards. A very solid pick in the 6.86 meta, focused largely around 5-man team fighting around towers and pushing down those towers as quickly as possible, ending the game within 25 to 30 minutes. All around a solid pick for Leo Gaming. Doesn't overly commit them to any one strategy. Shadow Shaman, a fairly versatile support, but able to do a lot even when he's just left on his own to push a creep wave into a tower. And how will Infinity choose to respond to this Shadow Shaman pick? Will they respond with support of their own? Will they try to secure themselves an early carry? They choose to pick an Undying, a hero immensely popular during 6.84 and 6.85, when teams would just put him and another hero off lane, pressure the enemy safe lane, and just run at them for the entirety of the game. Still, despite some nerfs, he is still relevant in the current meta, and as mentioned, with the fights revolving mainly around towers and pushing his 5, heroes like both Abaddon and Undying incredibly good at pressuring the heroes of Leo Gaming side. Undying Abaddon is a bordering on cancerous offlane. It's likely that these two heroes will pair up together, go into the offlane, and make sure that Leo Gaming's safe lane carry never gets any farm in his life. Leo Gaming choose to respond with a Slardar, a hero that does respond well to pressure. Just if they Undying the Abaddon get up in his grill, he just crushes them and runs away. He sprints and gets out of danger. This might be a safe lane Slardar, the more farm orientated, getting that blink dagger as quickly as possible. It might just be a sacrificial offlane Slardar, just trying to soak up some XP and run around with his crush and his ultimate. Leo Gaming, seeing the early pressure and 5-man potential of the Undying and Abaddon, choosing to ban out the Army Knight, a wise choice, as if the Abaddon is able to just get his Curse of Avernus, what was in Dota 1 called the Frostmourne ability on you, he will just be able to stay next to you forever, and with Omni Purification and Repel, that gets even more insane. Infinity Gaming, their third ban is the Ember Spirit. At this point, neither Undying nor Abaddon has a stun, so Ember Spirit would just be able to fire Remnant away, and they don't want him doing his shenanigans or his very bad poetry. Infinity will not be able to be picked the Phantom Lancer, as Leo Gaming promptly banned it out. Another strong combination with Undying and Abaddon, a core that likes to just run at you without fear, with Doppelganger, an incredible number of illusions, and overall would suit Infinity's lineup very well. Infinity ban out the Disruptor before picking up a Dazzle for themselves. This is looking like a very solid draft for 6.85 or 6.84. Whether it'll still work after the nerfs to Dazzle and Undying remains to be seen, but it is a very strong support and 3-position combination at this point. Again, they still, until Dazzle levels his Poison Touch to level 3, they still don't have a stun, so if Leo Gaming are wise and pick an elusive carry, they will do very well. And they choose Spectre for their safe lane farm. A hero that goes very well with Sladar's amplified damage, as with the Haunt, she pops an illusion on every single enemy hero, and they will be taking severe amounts of damage between the minus armor and the pure damage of Desolate. So Leo Gaming are not afraid of what Infinity have for them. However, as mentioned earlier, the Undying and the Abaddon will be able to provide very powerful levels of pressure onto this safe lane Spectre, and it'll be a hard time for Leo Gaming supports to get the Spectre the farm that she needs. Infinity ramping up the pressure even more with a Queen of Pain. A hero that once she hits level 6, she's quite content just to run around everywhere. But Leo Gaming go for that elusive core that I was mentioning in just before the Queen of Pain pick in the Slark. Infinity Gaming still no stuns. A Slark, if you can't stun him, if you can't burst him down with AoE, he is going to shred you. So this may be an offlane Slark, which is not something that's seen very often, but if he does not get, if Infinity choose to run an aggressive tri-lane on the Spectre, the Slark will have an easier time just getting his experience and his farm in the Radiant offlane. And with the new addition of the hard camp close to the Radiant secret shop and the Dire secret shop, of course, Slark will be able to just get his farm there. Once he's got a couple of levels, he can just Dark Pact the hard camp and ramp up his farm even more. The final two bans we have are Shadow Fiend and Huskar, both reliant on physical damage. Infinity, they don't want their heroes to be burst down with a very well placed Shadow Fiend ultimate and some right clicks from a 36 Necro Mastery Shadow Fiend. And they pick up for a Lone Druid. Bulldog would be proud. That does mix up the lanes a bit. Maybe they'll choose. It does blur their lanes, as they could run an offlane Lone Druid, they could run an offlane Undying Abaddon, they could run that in this, run the Lone Druid in a safe lane, protect him with the Dazzle. Infinity Gaming's lanes are fairly flexible, and it will be up to Leo Gaming to predict what they think Infinity are going to run. Otherwise, it could go disastrously for them. If they run the more immobile and hero with a lesser laning presence in the Spectre against the Undying and Abaddon, she will have a very, very tough time. But if she can get against the Lone Druid, she will still have a tough time, because Lone Druid is a retardedly good laner. Leo Gaming slamming to pick up their mid lane hero. Maybe popular picks with Invoker gone. We could see a wide variety of things, and they've got plenty of time to still do it. They've still got a minute of their reserve time. They could pick up something like a mid lane Storm Spirit for the extra catch on that Lone Druid, although with his nerfs he's much less popular these days. They could pick up even a Sven mid wouldn't be bad. If they Infinity choose to run the Lone Druid mid, the extra armor that he gives himself, but they choose to run the Lina. A nice, aggressive mid laner that doesn't do terribly against Queen of Pain once she's got her bottle, and will be able to be effective once she gets her early farm. And one of the players has sadly disconnected, and we'll have a quick pause. 2 minutes just to gather themselves and allow me to talk about cosmetics and generally introduce the lineups. So, for Leo Gaming, we have Surprise on the mid lane Lina, James on the Slaughter, yep, on the Slock, Mr. Alone, Forever Alone on the Sacrificial Shadow Shaman, Popeye on the Spectre, and for Team Infinity Gaming, we have Devil is Back on the Undying, IBBI on the Abaddon, Revenge on the Queen of Pain, We Are Electric on the Dazzle, and Ellie on the Lone Druid. And what a fine beard that Lone Druid has. With all the players back in the game, the action is likely to get going, and this is probably going to be a very short game. Both teams looking to be aggressive early on, but with some late game options in the Spectre for the Radiant and the Lone Druid for the Dire respectively. Lone Druid summoning his beautiful Panda, Alfredo, and look, the teams will look to contest the runes. Abaddon going for a very aggressive build in the early Quelling Blade and Fairy Fire. He is clearly going to be the farming hero in this Dire offlane, and will be able to click creeps and harass the enemy very effectively. Slot upping out that he wants the top rune, and the Spectre seems to be going into the offlane, much to the bewilderment of his Slark teammate. The ability of the Lone Druid Bear just to sit by himself, waiting to deny this top rune to the Radiant team, while the entirety of his team almost secures the other rune, is a little silly. But Leo Gaming are wise to it, and they smoke up the heroes. Because the bear is not actually a hero, the bear cannot gain any vision on the Radiant team. They choose to just right-click the bear, but they don't even manage to get the bounty rune. The bear gets the bounty rune. That'll allow Ellie to get an even faster timing on whatever item he feels is necessary. With a Stout Shield and the Quelling Blade on his bear, some tangos on the hero, and 233 gold in the bank, he'll probably be looking towards an early Midas into maybe a Radiance, or a more combat-centric build, such as a Basher or a Maelstrom. In the Radiant safe lane, it'll look to be a Slaughter and a Slark going against the very potent lane of Dazzle, Abaddon, and Undying, who has hidden himself in the trees just to try and make sure that Leo Gaming have no idea what they're doing. Spectre and Shadow Shaman currently holding their own against the solo Lone Druid, but the Lone Druid will be stepping up even more XP. In the mid lane, Queen of Pain currently winning the last hit war 4-2 to the 2-2 of the Lina, and is slightly ahead due to her picking up the bounty rune in the bottom lane. Very nice early sentry ward for the Radiant team will allow them to see if Infinity Gaming have any wards on their high ground, and give Surprise the edge that he desperately needs, because his counterpart in Revenge managed to pick up the early rune. In the bottom lane, things are going pretty much as expected. Abaddon has leveled his shield and his curse, and they're pushing the lane just to try and keep James and Yup under incredible amounts of pressure in this lane. Undying has picked up a haste rune, and this may signal heightened levels of aggression on the side of Infinity, and Ellie by himself has managed to kill the Shadow Shaman in the top lane. The power of the Lone Druid Bear with its 1800 health, 45 damage, and the bonus from Rabbit, enough just to bring down the squishy Shadow Shaman. 132 gold going into Ellie's pocket. He's almost at $1,000. He's sitting pretty. While Yup hasn't even touched a creep. He is 0 denies, 0 last hits. This double melee lane against an Undying with his ability to spam decay is not working out for Leo Gaming at this point. With his early levels, Lone Druid is able to more effectively bully the Spectre and gain better overall pressure on the map for Team Infinity Gaming. In the mid lane, Revenge continuing to dominate his counterpart in Surprise, picking up a bottle and a Gloves of Haste before Surprise even has anything. 12 CS, 6 CS above Surprise at this point in time, and 3 extra denies. Revenge is doing a bang-up job of dominating this mid lane. He is a little low, however, but Surprise, with only 180 mana, he's only got enough for one spell. Ellie is very low in the top lane, and Spectre will get the kill with the dagger. That'll give her a great boost in her income and experience, jumping up about a 500 gold swing in at the 4-minute mark is just what that Spectre needed to catch up in the lane. That may allow her to build into the early urn, or if she's feeling a bit greedy, just save up for her a Radiance of her own. Spectres, not as effective until they look remarkably radiant with that very expensive early game item. Ellie, seeing that the support is not there, he's looking to go aggressive on Popeye. The bear's got the Orb of Venom, but the bear just doesn't get that entangle. Ellie did not pray enough to RNGesus to get that early luck. An entangle would probably have meant the death of the Spectre there. If Ellie had managed to entangle him, he could have got the bear round to Savage Roar and get the extra right clicks in. The Spectre, she's going the early Vanguard build with the right clicks from the bear. It will help negate a lot of the damage. Ellie has popped Rabbit to try and increase the damage on Papa, and there's the root. The Undying comes in, but the Spectre, she gets the dagger out, but it's just not enough. That last right click from the Lone Druid, enough to secure the death of the Spectre. And Infinity Gaming choosing to rotate the 2 supports up into the top lane to secure the kill and maybe even push the tower. With 1 level in Shadow Wave, the Dazzle combining with the Spirit Bear will be able to put increased pressure on this Radiant offlane tower. Mr. Alone, he looks like he may have gone AFK for a second there, maybe checking his Facebook, checking Reddit on how to counter Lone Druid. The answer is, it's very, very difficult. Popeye returning to his impoverished buddy, and the Dazzle cheekily denies the rune right in front of Surprise's face. He walks back to the lane dejectedly, while Revenge, he picks up a double damage. He salves himself up. He is looking to wreak havoc in this top lane. He's level 6, and he knows exactly what he wants, and it is James's and Yup's booty. And by that I mean their gold, not their rectums. Revenge, he gets... Oh, he misses his combo on Yup. He does blink in with a double damage. A great crush from James, but it doesn't mean that Yup will survive anyway, as the tick damage from the Shadow Strike just enough to get the kill on the Slug. 2 more seconds and Revenge can blink. He chooses to not dive the tier 2 tower at 6 minutes and rather goes back to the mid lane. 500 gold towards the side of Inifinity Gaming, and they're looking pretty. At this point, 2k net worth towards Infinity, about a 1k experience gain with the aggressive tri-lane sacrificing a little bit in the experience department, but as Popeye is forced to run back to base again as he's been harassed incredibly by this, what is now a dual lane in the Dire safe lane, things may begin to get a little tricky for Leo Gaming. Slardar, James, he's doing his best just to sit in experience range, not get decayed, and have his strength stolen. And Popeye has chosen to rotate into the Radiant safe lane, feeling that he'd rather take his chances with an Abaddon and an Undying than with a lone Druid. And they do rotate the Shadow Shaman in as well to try further allow the Spectre to get her farm. Without early farm on the Spectre, the mid-game teamfights will be very, very difficult to take for Leo Gaming, due to the combined factors of that Infinity Gaming are very strong in that department, and they're currently behind in net worth and experience. Ellie, he's managed to get an 8.5 minute Midas solo safe lane against dual lane. Not a bad timing. With that early boost in experience and farm, he may look to just build into a Radiance and try beat out the Spectre's timing. As Spectre is stopped off for what will most likely be a Vanguard, the Lone Druid will most likely be able to outfarm the Spectre and beat her on the Radiance timing, further improving the mid-game teamfight of Infinity Gaming, not Invictus Gaming, never mind. There is no Chuan in here. Infinity Gaming, skipping the creep wave, making sure that Yup doesn't even get close to experience range, while all of their creeps die under tower. Leo Gaming do respond to this by sending James in, but as he does not have his minus armor, there's not that much he can do. He runs in, tries to find a good crush, but Ellie is in his tanky Spirit Bear form. The Slark's ultimate is going to wear off now, and then he's just going to die. With the superlative damage from Ellie's Rabid and Battle Cry, there's just not enough survivability on the side of Leo Gaming at this point. Even on their tanky heroes like Slardar, because he used his sprint and Slark used his Dark Pact early. Oh, surprise! Does indeed surprise Ellie with a Laguna Blade from the trees, but she pays for it with her own life, as Revenge gets his revenge. The puns, they are flying, friends. Mr. Alone, forever alone in the Radiant safe lane against IBBBI. He's getting very good experience. The experience graphs actually aren't that unfavorable. The net worth, it's heading towards 5k, but the experience is only at about 2k. With Mr. Alone getting his mass Serpent Wards, if they ever see a tower, which doesn't look likely in the next couple of minutes, due to the depush capabilities of the Abaddon just wanting to spam his Aphotic Shield and run at people, and the Lone Druid just being able to right-click 2 things between his bear and his hero, it's unlikely that Shadow Shaman will get to a tower at any point within the next 5 or 6 minutes. Yup does get rooted. He uses his leap to try to get away, and he's forced to Shadow Dance simply to escape the grip of the angry grizzly bear. That panda wants more than to make noodles for the rest of his life. With phase boots up on the Spirit Bear, it's going to be very hard for anyone to escape. Queen of Pain gets a double kill with a very well placed Sonic Wave. And Tombstone showing that it's still a very relevant ability in the current meta. The tower not even managing to bring it down very quickly. And Yip Yip gets a quick pause. Mr. Alone, not quite up on his internet connection. Hopefully it's not something serious and that he'll be back within moments. At this point, we are Electric. He's got his Arcane Boots. IBBI. He's almost got his Vlads. He's going to be very tanky and just looking to run at people for the next 20 minutes non-stop. And he'll be very successful at doing so. Devil is back. He's also got his Arcane Boots. He looks like the Undying looks to be the mech builder for the Dire team. Yep. He's looking impoverished on sitting on a Boots of Speed, a Poor Man's Shield, and a Quelling Blade. The poor guy. Ellie, with that early Midas Phase Boots and Orb of Venom on the Bear, he can look to rotate between the lane and the jungle and farm up his next major item. Saving up 800 gold. The Surprise does manage to Laguna Blade the Undying, and an early fight is looking to break out Popeye. He's trying to pursue out We Are Electric, but IBBI does manage to Aphotic Shield off the slow from the Spectral Dagger. Popeye, seeing the mid lane is not populated by Queen of Pain right now, and top lane is pushing into their tower. She can get some good experience, some good farm, and avoid any further deaths. Ellie wanting to show him the error of his ways and just give him a little bit of a love tap. Revenge dominating poor Mr. Alone. Shadow Shaman cannot catch a break, and Yip may even go down here. Oh, with this extra zombie slow, the Queen of Pain easily manages to right click down the very underfarmed Slark, and this is looking to be a little bit of a stomp at this point. Almost 6,000 gold experience, 6,000 gold lead at the 13-minute mark, and a almost 4k experience lead. Life is looking tough for Leo Gaming. And they lose their first tower at 13 minutes, and this is likely going to be the first of many. With the top 3 net worth heroes all on the Dire team, it is going to be a tricky comeback for Team Leo Gaming. Mr. Alone, he's trying so hard to get to a tower. He just wants to put his snakes on a tower, and he gets rooted. Ellie, while he didn't pray to RNGesus before, has clearly been doing his damnedest since then. With Revenge tipping in to help him kill the Spectre, the Bear getting the crucial Orb of Venom slow, getting the root, and Popeye goes down again. 1 and 2 on the Spectre. Life in general looking pretty tough for Leo Gaming. Team Infinity, they're not looking to let up at any point, pressuring this top tier 2 with everything they have. They've got a Tombstone cooldown. They can just sit here for the next 30 seconds and bring the tower down without any contest from Team Leo Gaming. Shadow Shaman does TP in, but he is ahead of his team. A nice Dragon Slave from Delina leads into a very good initiation for Leo Gaming. The Undying being picked off relatively early, but now it's time for Infinity Gaming to turn. They get onto Mr. Alone, shackling with the Bear. Revenge gets a less than optimal Sonic Wave, and he does go down. Currently, a 2-for-1 trade for Leo Gaming, something that they'll take any days of the week. Almost 2,000 gold into their pockets. And that's the first step to Leo Gaming coming back to this game. Lena now has picked up her Yule Scepter, so it will allow her to set up the infuriating Yule Scepter into Light Striker, Ray Dragon Slave, and Lena Ultimate combo, which should bring down at least 3 of the heroes on the Inifinity Gaming side from 100% to 0. It should kill a Queen of Pain if the Spirit Prayer is not in bear form. But Ellie, he's not afraid of Lena with a Yule Scepter. He's just saying, if your heroes want to try come close to me, good luck, sir. My panda has something to say about that. And he says it with his fists. Baden ult is procced in the top lane, just pressuring the tower. And triple BI backs out before anything else can go wrong. The Undying still yet to pick up his mechanism. That's another timing that Inifinity Gaming may want to wait for, but they choose, we'd rather have this top tier 2 tower, thank you very much. Leo Gaming do posture a little as if they're going to defend, but they know it would be very difficult to do so. They got a very good initiation last time. The chances of getting the same one this time are not great. Mr. Owen, with no concern for his own health, does get a great stun rotation onto Revenge, but this is purged off by triple BI before his team can back him up. And in the meantime, the Dire have rotated on the mid tower. Queen of Pain gets a Sonic Wave on both of their cores with the 40-second cooldown. It's pretty easy to land a very good one pretty much every time. And this is another tier 2 down for Leo Gaming. It does cost them their Lone Druid's life, which will bring a nice sum of money into the Lena's pocket. But overall, it's a fairly even exchange. The 3 cores on Inifinity Gaming are still the top farmers in the game, and that doesn't look to be changing as Inifinity Gaming do have eyes towards Roshan. With the medallion picked up on the Dazzle, they do have the minus armor that they need. They may just be waiting for the Queen of Pain and the Lone Druid to come and rotate with them. The Radiant, they're completely in the dark as to whether this is happening or not. They have been forced to stay within their top and middle lanes for the last 3 minutes or so, and have been unable to place any wards in the bottom side of the map. Dazzle starts off the minus armor train on Roshan. Abaddon just punching him with all of his might, hitting him with that very large sword of his. And Roshan, while he's putting up a brave fight, the poor soul will go down. The Radiant are posturing to contest this. Mr. Alone is sitting on the edge of the pit, but they'll likely be too late. Spectre does ulti in, but does not manage to pull off the combination, allowing her to steal the Aegis. Not wanting to risk her life twice, while her teammates are not in position to back her up. James, he's sitting on a ring of health and a boost of speed. He's not anywhere near a Blink Dagger. And Popeye, he knows he's a little bit out of position at this point. Spectral daggering in the trees and hoping they don't see him. Ellie just pops the rabbit, pops the battle cry, and brings down another tower with the bear. The only person even remotely able to keep up with the Inifinity Gaming team is Surprise. He has picked up his second major item, his Blink Dagger, which will allow him to get a little bit of better initiation, but without Blink Dagger follow-up from his other heroes on his team, it's not likely to pull into much. Mr. Alone spamming out the way, but yep, he misses his leap. He doesn't get the leash on anyone, and he immediately pops his ultimate and runs away. Like a scared slog. Revenge, he gets a 3-man Sonic Wave. But he does get put into the middle of Serpent Wars and shackled. But with the mech on Undying, there's just too much sustain from Infinity Gaming. And this is likely going to be the first lane of barracks, going down within 21 minutes for Leo Gaming. From the start, Infinity Gaming seemed to just have the more clear battle plan and have executed it very well. With all of their Ellie, well, despite dying 3 times, has performed admirably, still the top net worth earner, despite being put solo against dual lane earlier on in the game, and Revenge landing those crucial spells when he needed to. With 3k gold on top of the Agnum Scepter, he's got a lot of options here. He could choose to build a cheeky Dagon to burst down one hero instantly. He could get an Octarine Core to help sustain himself and make himself a little more tanky. He could even get a Shiva's Guard to help clear the Spectre illusions. He's got many options for himself. We are electric. He's converted that Medallion of Courage into a Solar Crest, which will allow the Infinity Gaming side to have even more ability to remain in fights longer than the Leo Gaming team. James is still sitting, he's still building up towards that Blink Dagger. Yep, he's managed to convert his boots into treads. Congratulations, sir. Mr. Alone, he's rushing an Agnum Scepter, not even stopping up for a mechanism for his team. Popeye, he's got the Vanguard, he's got his phase boots, but he hasn't got much on top of that. He's got 1,000 gold. Will he choose to convert this into the more popular Manta style of the current meta, or will he build the more tried and tested Radiance? Time will tell. Abaddon, he's finished his Vlads, he's finished his stuns in Yasuo, and he's even got a Hyperstone. The Tombstone is popped. The very good crush from James allows Popeye to remain alive for longer. And Triple BI, he was going to go down, but he's an Abaddon. He's still got his ultimate, and he survives through everything. Revenge pops his BKB, despite all of the Leo Gaming heroes being dead. And this is the second lane of barracks at 2 minutes after the first went down. Infinity Gaming executing this strategy well, and yep, he's had enough. 23 minutes in, GG's out. That is all she wrote, folks. There were almost more kills on the side of Infinity Gaming than there were minutes in the game, but it was an entertaining stomp. Lots of action around the map. Fairly standard builds for 6.86, and overall, I thank you for joining me in this Kaolin Cup first round game. Sadly, Leo Gaming are eliminated, and we will see Infinity in the next round. Thank you for joining me. I have been Pizza Dog. You can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/pizzadogcasting. Find me on YouTube, youtube.com/pizzadog, and on Twitter at PizzaDogDodo. I hope you will join me again soon. Thank you, and good night.